Welcome to Leehalot podcast, a space for Jewish women to share the story behind the spark, how they encountered their inner light, nurtured it, and found the courage to let it illuminate the world. This is your space to rise, to shine, and to bring your unique light into the world. Welcome to the Leehalot podcast, where we meet extraordinary Jewish women who elevate the world through their light, in their homes, their professions, and their mission. Today, I'm very honored to sit down with Dr. Knoll, a frum Jewish woman, a trailblazing oncologist, and the founder of JOWMA, Jewish Orthodox Women Medical Association, an organization that has built a community of support and mentorship for Jewish women in medicine. How are you doing, Mimi?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me. It was such an honor to meet you last year through our mutual friend, Dr. Rosenell, who I know has also been on the podcast. And it's really just an honor to be here. I'm just so excited about the amazing work that you're doing and the beautiful magazine that you've put out. So really, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for taking of your precious time to be with us today and to inspire us with your life, with your career, with your life mission. Mimi, where are you right now? Where are you sitting?
Right now, I am outside in my backyard in Cedarhurst in the Five Towns.
Beautiful. Wonderful. It seems like a beautiful weather today, Baruch Hashem.
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. I like to start the podcast with a question that I feel will give us a little idea of what your life mission is. Mimi, if your life were a book, what would its title be?
Oh, that is a hard question. You know, I'm actually very bad at titles. This is funny. I'm a writer and a thinker, and I always find the hardest part is coming up with a title, believe it or not. But I would say that my mission, at least over the last, 5 years or so, has been to create community and support for my fellow Jewish women physicians from all backgrounds. Majority of our members at JOWMA, which stands for Jewish Orthodox Women's Medical Association, majority are Orthodox, though not all, and that's certainly not a question that we ask when people join, because our goal is to be inclusive and to support our members from all backgrounds and from at all stages of their careers, starting from high school. And what's been amazing is seeing how many non-doctors we've also brought into our community, women who feel passionate about making a difference, who feel passionate about health, who see a real need for education in the community and health outreach and advocacy that is evidence-based, that's real, that is not meant to scare people. And really, our community is growing tremendously because we're really out there to make a difference. We're not there for ourselves. And I think, every nonprofit's mission is obviously not to make a profit. But I think people really see that when you take hundreds of women physicians and trainees and medical students, and you see them giving more, even more of their time, we are clearly not in it for ourselves, right? We are there to make a difference in the world.
It's so interesting because there's a concept in the Torah that when you cancel yourself, and it's not egoistically, when you cancel yourself, you give of yourself for a purpose that Hashem wants you to achieve, somehow it gives you more strength, more chayut, more energy of life. And I feel like what you're describing exactly that, like you make space for other to exist, to flourish, to connect, and to grow. And it gives you a special energy. And all the women within that circle also do find a purpose and find energy.
100%. I didn't know that language that you're sharing, but I got chills as you're speaking because, the word that I've come to learn and understand and utilize is agency. It's a word that one of our members in Israel, Dr. Dana Zwas, who's a cardiologist at Hadassah, and we were discussing how JOWMA is growing so fast and is making such a difference. And she said, and how women just want to volunteer. And I was telling her, and I say this all the time, it boggles my mind how, women who are working more than full time, who, most of our members are married, raising families. And if they're not married, they still have Shabbos, Yontif, community obligations, family. A typical Jewish woman is very busy. Add on top of that a medical career. And yet, they want to volunteer with JOWMA. They want to sign up for our mentoring program to mentor somebody else. They'll help someone who's in college, which courses to take, practice for an interview, 100% for free. They're literally getting nothing out of it. And they come to me every day and they beg me, I want to volunteer. Give me something to do. And I say to them, you need to go study. Please go pass your exams because you're not going to be able to be a doctor if you don't study. And what they say to me, honestly, and I stopped saying no, I started finding opportunities for them because they say to me, but this is how I get through it. This is how I'm able to do it. I have another example. So Dr. Anna Weinstein, I'm sharing this publicly for the first time. I met her when she was in medical school. She, had kids in medical school, did an OBGYN residency. I mean, we're talking someone who worked really, 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 really hard and, still volunteer with JOWMA, but, obviously didn't have a lot of time at all. She started her fellowship in maternal fetal medicine, which is one of the most competitive specialties to get a fellowship after finishing OBGYN. And she comes to me a year ago saying, what can I do? I want to volunteer. I said, Dr. Weinstein, you just finished 4 years of grueling OBGYN residency. Relax. Enjoy the fact that you have a little bit more time, not a lot of time, a little bit more time. She still has a husband and children and fellowship and all that. She goes, no, now I have the time. Now I want to give back. Now I want to do more. I mean, it's just, and she's now one of the chairs of our mentoring program. She has been on the conference committee. She's on our women's health committee. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So I totally agree with you. When you have a sense of creating space for other people, it actually gives you more energy.
True. It's true. You really tap on the idea of the feminine energy, being a mekabel, making that space for other, welcoming others, making sure that others have what they need in order to grow and to become the potential person they have the ability to become. And it doesn't require to be just sitting, like it requires us also to tap in that masculine energy of being a mashpia and giving. But first you have to create the space, and I think that it's beautiful. The concept that I was referring to of bitul, there's a beautiful shiur of Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson on Parashat Shemot, where he explains the burning bush, and through that concept, they teaches us that when you are canceling yourself for good reasons, which are reasons like of growth for others and making space for others with a purpose in mind to help them develop and to create a community and to create space, then you're not burning out. It's not the energy that burns you, whereas you could be using the same amount of time and energy doing something else with not the same purpose, and then it would take you down and drain you. And he explained it's just because in that moment what we are doing is we are really like revealing the mission that our neshama has. And our neshama is a chelek Eloka mimal, a piece of Hakadosh Baruch Hu inside. So when we develop that mission, we actually get the strength of Hashem. So Hashem is really giving us that strength to continue. And it's illogical because, as you said, you have some women who are professors, who are maybe teachers, who went through so much and they still made their life as mothers, as Jewish women, with their Shabbat, with everything. And yet they're still giving you time, making space for your organization, for the community. Why? Because they know that this is what their neshama is striving for, And it's illogical because whatever is happening is from Hashem. And Hashem will send the strength beyond the laws of nature.
100%. And another word that I think is similar is intentionality, right? So it's not about, running yourself ragged. And I think we all are learning to be sensitive to the fact that women and mothers and Jewish women, we have needs and we need to take care of ourselves. And we have to take care of ourselves or we can't take care of other people. So it's not about just giving and giving and giving until you have nothing left. It's about intentionality and agency and taking control of your life by giving back to others. And that in and of itself is giving something to yourself. So, creating space for others actually, like you said, energizes you and invigorates you. And I think, especially in today's day and age where we're so lucky to have modern conveniences. We're so lucky that, people have help with childcare. Children go to school when they're very, very little. I mean, it used to be children went to school in first grade. Imagine being home with your kids until they're literally going to first grade. Nobody does it anymore, right? So women have a lot more time on our hands. Certainly, there are a lot of obligations, and I'm not discounting that, but most women do have time to volunteer. They do have time to go out. They do have time to create. And it's an obligation on us to take advantage of the gifts that we have been given and create something with it, like you have, because it's we're literally, we have these gifts from Hashem. And if we don't take it upon ourselves to make a difference, if we say, oh, no, somebody else is going to do something, that's not what Hashem wants from us. We need to take it upon ourselves to do the work.
That's beautiful. I feel like when Hashem gives you that opportunity, don't leave it to someone else.
That's right. That's right. And I think a lot of women also, we doubt ourselves. We doubt ourselves a lot, and we say, oh no, let's leave that to the men. The men are taking care of it. The leaders are taking care of it. So and so with the position is taking care of it. You know what? Everyone's doing their best. But if you hear a little voice in your head and you say, oh no, this is something that needs to get done. This is something that needs to get changed. The world is open to you. Go out there and do it. Nobody's stopping you. So certainly don't stop yourself. And don't let the fact that you're a woman hold you back from making a difference out there in the world.
Definitely. We were speaking before the podcast about the beauty of what a woman can achieve compared to a man. And we are not diminishing what men achieve, but we have been given different gifts. And one of those gifts is to include and to stretch ourselves and to make space for others. Can you tell us a little bit how you see that in your area of work?
Yeah, sure. So, again, I'm an oncologist. I work at Northwell and I treat cancer with radiation. So my specialty is called radiation oncology. And, my parents are both doctors. My father's a vascular surgeon. My mother is a pediatrician. And my parents are pillars of the community. My father-in-law is a pillar of the community. He's a urologist. So I grew up around medicine. And but what I saw my mother did not have, and I only recognized this much later, and I saw what I didn't have going through medical school was I didn't have community. I found medical school, and I certainly can't speak for my mother, but my mother didn't have an organization. I didn't have an organization. I didn't, aside from my mother, who certainly was a huge role model for me, I basically went through medical school alone, even though my husband was with me and my husband was an interventional radiologist. We went to medical school together. Still, it was very lonely. And I think a lot of women find a lot of loneliness working in their careers, even outside of medicine. And when I wanted to start JOWMA together with Eliana Fine, who was a medical student at that time, we really started it as a club. We started it as, let's make a party. I had hosted a couple of doctors' dinners before starting JOWMA. And Dr. Sherry Orzel had started the From Female Physicians Facebook group. So, there was some momentum there in terms of, using social media to create, connections with people. But, we hadn't ever hosted a big event, and we decided, let's go ahead and do that. And it was incredible because, subsequently, Eliana stepped down to focus on finishing residency OBGYN. Now she's starting her career. But, my goal was really to get everyone together. And what I realized is that as soon as you get women together in a room or in a WhatsApp group, immediately we start discussing, what could we do? How could we help? What about this? What about this? What about this? And the community health initiatives that we took on. First it was measles, then it was COVID. Now it's women's health, preventative health, pediatrics, cancer screenings. I mean, we cover everything through our own podcast, hotline, newsletter, in-person events. We do a tremendous amount just by getting people together. So I think it's so important to create avenues for women to connect to each other. And that's why I'm such a huge fan. I'm so impressed with the work that you're doing. And people come to me all the time and say, what about women dentists? What about the male doctors and the male medical students? What about women in accounting? What about women lawyers? And I always say to them, please go ahead and do it.
Wait.
Go ahead, because it's so necessary. Really, so, and it's funny. We do have actually a lot of young men coming to join JOWMA. We have high school programs that are co-ed and schools that are co-ed. So of course, we're happy to invite young men and male physicians into our fold also. But like to your point, the core is really the women. And I think it's because we're focused much more on community and connectivity.
We are. And I feel also we have, if we see our sages teach us that at the end of the fifth millennium, where we stand now, the Geula will come by the women. And I feel like somehow we have that ability, just like, the physical world reflects what we are able spiritually or emotionally. In the physical world, who gives birth? The women. Who gives life? The women. And somehow I think we're gifted with that ability also spiritually and conceptually, that we are able to give birth to things more easily. We facilitate that. We have that ability to, okay, you give us problems and they're going to find a solution and we're going to make it happen, right? And so I feel like we are good at giving birth to something new, to something necessary, to something that we need in order to grow into another part of our potential. So I feel that you are doing that so beautifully, and I love the idea that you're encouraging and empowering other people to do the same. You cannot be in charge of everyone. You cannot.
That's right. That's right. I said, maybe in 10 years, come back to me. But until then, get going. And, I love this idea that we have a purpose in life. And I love the idea that everybody's here for a unique mission. And I also try to encourage people that, you don't know what your unique mission is until you start doing. So, and the world is open to you. And I think some people sort of get stuck in, well, what should I do? What should I do? And the answer is just start somewhere, get going. Like if you don't know what you want to go into, start working, start taking some classes, start connecting with other people, do an internship, start writing, whatever it is you want to do. It's not going to be great right away. And it requires you, to stick your neck out and take a risk. And only through doing will you come to understand what's going to work, what's not going to work. And the truth is, not everything is going to work out. And we have to be willing to take that risk. I think it's hard. With the connectivity in a way also comes a challenge because, like I said, the world is so open to women today. We really can do anything, and we really don't have things holding us back in the way that we used to. And I think that can also come with a paralyzing fear. And I just interviewed actually for Northwell because I took on the role recently as medical director of digital engagement for the cancer center. And I interviewed the head of the cancer center, Dr. Barakat, and he said to me, and it's published in the interview on LinkedIn, um, feeling like you're not the smartest person in the room, that just comes with leadership. Feeling like, what am I doing here? For women, we tend to call it more imposter syndrome, which is a known phenomenon. Men tend not to utilize that term as much, but it exists for all leaders and all people, that feeling of, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? Am I really supposed to be doing this? And I've certainly had those questions. I don't know, if you've had that, that fear of like, why am I doing this? Like, am I crazy? Like, I've had that question probably every day since starting and running JOWMA. But
What gave you the strength then to overpass that imposter syndrome? What
yeah,
what gave you that idea that yes, I am the person. I am the
yeah, yeah. You know what? Honestly, it's a few things. Number one, my amazing husband, Dr. Avraham Knoll, Abe Knoll. He is a major, major support, and is always telling me, what about this? What about this? And sometimes I tend to tell him, like, aren't I doing enough? Like, no, what about this? What about this? So he's, a major, major support and inspiration for me to do more. My mother-in-law, who has been by my side, pushing me and helping me since the day I got married. And we moved to Passaic to be down the block from her when my oldest was born, and with my father-in-law. Honestly, it's the people. Dr. Sheendel Ifra Goldfez, who started as a volunteer when she was pre-med with JOWMA, and now is our COO, CFO. I mean, we just have the most amazing volunteers that honestly really pushed me. Dr. Tamar Itzkowitz, who also started as pre-med, she was not sure if she wanted to apply to medical school. I've been mentoring her. Since she was pre-med, I remember meeting with her husband when they got married. Sorry, after they got married, is when I met her, and her husband and she were not sure. And that's when we started JOWMA. And guess what? She graduated medical school.
wow.
Literally, so it's the successes and it's the people that I see that we're impacting, and the fact that we've grown. We have over 800 members now, so you can't argue with success. But I also always say, and I think this is the best advice that honestly I wish I had during the hard times, independent of growing JOWMA, but just in general in my life: don't make decisions during times of stress.
Mhm.
No matter what it is, wait till things calm down and then make a decision. If you really want to quit school, you really want to switch jobs, you really want to move, whatever it is, do it. But do it when you're calm, when everything's relaxed, when you're in a good space, in your head. Do you
Take
agree?
hold properly. Yeah, it's true. I mean, like, I'm not at all a doctor, but I know that when you're in a survival mode, you don't have the same access to your ability to analyze a situation and to make the right choice. So I imagine definitely it makes so much sense that you have first to calm down, to let the situation sit a little bit, be able to come back to yourself, and also probably also take advices from
That's
those
right.
around you who want the best for you.
That's right. That's right. You have to know who to ask advice from. And I think it's really incumbent on us as women going through life to also have that perspective of, just because something didn't work out doesn't mean it was a wrong decision. Um, but, to have that perspective and say, I'm going to try my best, and not everything's going to work out. Nobody bats 1,000, but that's a risk that you take with looking to grow something and looking to develop yourself as a person.
Definitely. Do you think all Jewish women have that potential to become a leader? What would you what would you give as an advice to a woman who has those thoughts but maybe doesn't believe in herself? Do you think everyone has the potential to be a leader, or for
Absolutely.
there to be a leader there must be followers?
No, I think every single Jewish woman has the ability to be a leader. I don't think everybody's interested in leadership, and that's okay too. But even in small ways, we lead our children, we lead our families, we lead our friends. Like I said, I think a lot of people doubt themselves because they think, well, but somebody else is making the decisions. And no, you're making the decisions too. Not speaking up is also making a decision. And I when I mentor a lot of young women through JOWMA, I also share that we can't do everything. We can't change everything in the world. We sort of have to pick the things that we're going to do and that we're going to stick to. And that's what we do definitely as an organization. And I try to be that way as a person also, because sometimes leaders, you can see so many problems and it can sort of be infuriating, right? Like, just as a small example, in the world of medicine, I mean, you have insurance companies, you have corporate medicine, you have misinformation, you have social media, you have the government. There's so many problems with medicine today. And you can get stuck just getting angry about everything and feeling that you have to fix everything. You also can't do that, right? Like, you can't, it's like in Pirayavos, right? And Anna Mili Mili, and the whole, from Hillel. And it's like, you can't do nothing, you can't do everything, you have to find the happy medium. So I would say the same thing with women, with a very important, caveat that I have seen, and I've certainly felt this, that a lot of women doubt themselves to the point where they can have a fantastic idea and they could marshal the resources to make a difference, but they don't, because they have a voice in their head saying, this is not what women do. This is not my place. And I think that the community and the world is missing out because of that opinion. And I think there is a way for women to embrace leadership, and we need women to do it desperately. The community needs them.
It's true. I love the feminism in you, and what I love is that it's very different from the feminism we see in the Western world. In the Western world, I like to say that it's not feminism, it's masculinism taking the shape of a woman. But because they say we are equal to men, I think we're not equal to men. We have the equality of rights, definitely, but
That's
we
right.
are different and complementary. And what a man cannot achieve, we can, because of the quality we mentioned earlier, because the attributes that Hashem gave us. And I feel like even the way we were created is so different. We were taken from a being, Adam, who was already spiritual. So we have much more spirituality, and we're closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even the way we manifest our relationship with Hashem is different. We don't have as many mitzvot as the men, also because we're naturally connected to Him in a different way. We don't need those vehicles of connection. We are connected deep inside. I remember my grandmother didn't know how to pray in a siddur, but she was making food and praying at the same time. Like while she was doing her physical job, she was elevating everything. And I feel that this is such a powerful tool for women. And if we only believed that it's true for many centuries, the Western world and the culture, the Greek culture, Roman culture, so many cultures didn't believe in women. But in the Torah, it's not the case. The Jewish people, the nation exists because of strong Jewish women who made space for them to exist, from our Imaot to Esther HaMalka, to Miriam HaNeviah, to Devorah, to Yael, to so many great women have made the Jewish people as we are today. And I feel like the Torah is really a place where you can find this sense of what a woman is capable of. And I regret that many women, maybe some of you who are listening to us today, you're discovering that concept. Take away the cliche of the Jewish woman who is inside her house and try to discover the greatness of the Jewish women in the Torah. And it will help you become that leader, and it will help you believe in yourself, because Hashem really believes in you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of women who say feminism is bad don't understand the history, that until quite recently, women were unable to open their own bank accounts if you were married. Women were not able to be in certain professions. Women were not paid as well as their male counterparts in the same jobs. So we have come a very, very, very long way. And I don't think any woman today would want to go back to pre-feminism, days and laws in that aspect. But, that's okay if people don't understand the history. I think that in a way, the modern feminism of today has robbed women of family, of being able to have children, when they're young. I mean, when I was in medical school, we had almost 150 medical students in our class. There was one girl who had a baby first year of medical school. I had a baby in second year and then again in third year. There was nobody else that had children. And I'm talking about women medical students, not just Jewish. Women physicians and medical students and residents have a higher rate of infertility. It's unclear exactly why, whether it's the stress, whether it's because they're delaying having children. And I think real feminism or real equality would be for women to be able to have children when they want, not to have to freeze your egg, not to have to wait because you can't find a partner because nobody wants to get married young. I mean, you're ultimately robbing women of the opportunity to have a family. Now, again, somebody wants to freeze their eggs, that's amazing. Somebody wants to wait, that opportunity is open to you. But I love how Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Sachs talked a lot about this in his books, about how, sort of the degradation of society and what that has led to. And I think ultimately the proof is in the pudding. You have religious Jewish women in basically every profession succeeding. So clearly, right, our religion allows for it. Yes, it's not as common per se in the outside world, but it's certainly very, very doable.
And they have large families, and
Yes, that's
they
right.
early in age. So
Yeah,
definitely that when we allow that thought to exist, we can make it happen.
yeah, absolutely. And I am grateful for having grown up religious because, you know, I'm very career focused as a person. And to be honest, if I didn't grow up in a religious family, I'm not sure I would have gotten married young and had 4 children. I probably would not have. And that would have been such a loss in my life. So I do think that I hope there's a little bit of a tide turning. And I agree with you that, despite optics and certainly the Torah was written and given to us a very, very long time ago, and it doesn't reflect modern society. But the reality is we're here and we're religious women and we're out there in the world and we're accomplishing and we're, I mean, just look at JOWMA. We're internationally renowned physicians from basically every specialty, religious women with families.
Beautiful. I love that idea that, and it circles back to our ability to create space, but even for a twofold reality.
Yes.
We can be career oriented, dedicated, and really like pursue the highest uh, position. And
Yes.
not but, it's and
I 100% agree.
have a family. We can also have a spiritual life. We can also have a community. We can also make space for others. We can also understand that it's not because we shine that we have to dim the light of our husbands, because our husbands shine and help us together. It's a union. It's a
Yes.
through this connection is born even a more beautiful project. So I
Yeah.
love that idea that you don't need to shut off one part of the reality. You can have both.
100%. And I think it's an important message also for women who don't have careers and are not interested in having careers. And that's fantastic. I don't think being a physician is the only thing that I could have or should have or would have done. I could have done many things. I'm grateful for the opportunity to do what I do. And I see that women who are stay-at-home moms also do amazing things. I think it's incumbent on all of us to do whatever we can to make the world a better place, in addition to whatever responsibilities we have, right? So, yes, we have real responsibilities, and yes, we are all busy. But like everyone says, if you want something done, ask a busy woman, right? Volunteer, find a way to help your community, start an organization, volunteer in your kid's school, help a friend out, mentor someone. There's so many amazing opportunities to give back. And like you said, giving back creates even more space. So if you feel overwhelmed in your life, the best thing you can do is actually to schedule time to volunteer.
I love that. You mentioned earlier a very famous saying of Hillel, if I'm not for me, who is for me? If not now, when? And I feel like it's crazy to understand that if I'm not for me, it's not about self-care only. I mean, like, of course, it's very important to fulfill our needs as a human being, like to not shut down on our emotions, to listen to ourselves, to nourish ourselves, to sleep correctly and everything. And not but, and it's also very important to realize that you are giving to yourself even when you volunteer, even when you do something for somebody else, because it does nourish a part of you that you don't see, that you're not conscious, that is not your animal soul, but it's your divine soul. And this is so important because we are so much more aware of the needs of our body. I need this, I need that. Yes, I'm hungry, I need to sleep, I'm tired. I need to have fun with my friends. I need to spend some time with my husband. Yes, it is. But there's another part of us that also needs to be nourished, and that's divine soul inside of us that is striving to accomplish, to gather, to have purpose. And this is accomplished through volunteering, making space for others, visiting sick people, whatever it is that you can do that will help someone be better, feel better. And I feel like that's really such a beautiful message you delivered us today. Really.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah. I think that sense of agency and the community is those two things go hand in hand. When I was working full time in my first job, without planning it this way, I had a couple of hours off every Monday, and it wasn't enough time for me to go home because basically I was traveling between two hospitals. So I would finish in one hospital, and then I would have like 2, 3 hours before I had to go to the clinic to cover until the evening time. And because it wasn't enough time to go home, I was like, okay, I have this free time, like, what do I do? And especially having worked so hard for so many years, having sort of nothing to do was very, very liberating, but also anxiety provoking. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I want. And I love fashion, so I basically would usually go shopping. And I learned from there that women really, especially when we feel overwhelmed, and I think in the modern world, we're all so busy and feel overwhelmed at baseline, to create space in your schedule, preferably at the same time every single week, where it's sort of built in that, I don't have anything to do at this time. Maybe it's for an hour on Shabbat afternoon, maybe it's Sunday morning, maybe it's, Wednesday morning, whatever it is, the same time every single week. And that allows your mind to expand, to think, what is it that I really want to do? What is it that's really important to me? It allows that sense of renewal and also fun, that you can do whatever you want in that time. And I know everyone's like, well, get a pedicure. Do what you want, and that space is really, really invigorating.
I love that. I love that. To make silence around in order to hear what you really want also, and to have that space for you. It sounds like a Shabbat.
Yes. So it depends. For some people, it can be on Shabbat, but some people have a lot of obligations, and the kids are home. So it depends. And this can change throughout your life. So actually, when my kids were little, and when I was in residency and I had no time in my schedule, for me, looking back, it was the time that I had dedicated to myself, sort of, was every Shabbat at 6 o'clock. It would be like at the end of the long day with the kids, and I would tell my husband, okay, it's, you know, they're yours. Like, do whatever you want with them. I'll see you later, you know. And that was always like from 6 to 8 p.m. But again, at that time, I didn't think of it as intentional. It just sort of happened every week. And now looking back, I realized that that was so helpful.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. That's beautiful. I have a question for you. Do you have a personal pasuk that guides you? Do you have something you want to share?
I can't think of it. I mean, probably what speaks most to me is what we spoke about before from Hillel, the verse in Pirkei Avot, which is, if I am not for me, who is for me? And, you know, I don't have it in front of me, but
it's so interesting
the
because
work is not all for you. I don't have to do all the work, but I also can't not do any of it. You know, that's the sort of gist of it. We should look it up.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much, really. Thank you, Mimi, for sharing your journey, your wisdom with us. Your example is truly inspiring for women who are navigating both ambitious careers and meaningful Jewish lives. And to our listeners, may this conversation remind us that when we live with purpose, with faith and community, we can illuminate every space we enter. Thank you so much, Mimi.
Thank you so much. And I want to also share that if anyone is interested in joining JOWMA as a member, or as an affiliate member, which is open to community members or to volunteer, they should check out our website, www.jowma.org. That's JOWMA.org. And you can also find us on Instagram, and we have a podcast, a hotline. We do many events, in-person webinars. So we look forward to seeing you.
And we will definitely add in the comments the links to your website and to the Instagram. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thanks for having me.